Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today is part 4 of our 5-part blind taste test rankings video series featuring KaffeBox's 2021 Advent Calendar. So a reminder on how this series works is we have 6 cups of coffee over here, we have 6 containers of coffee over here. We're trying to identify which of these cups is which of these containers based off of taste alone, and then we're going to be ranking them in order of our least favorites to our most favorite. And the winner of each and every one of these videos will be placed in a final video where we will determine which of these coffees is our favorite from the entire Advent Calendar. So let's go ahead and introduce today's coffees, starting with day 19, which is the Dario Hernandez, a wash processed Guatemala from Kaffa out of Oslo, Norway. And Kaffa's a coffee roaster I have almost no familiarity with, as the only time I've ever even heard of this roaster has been on KaffeBox's Instagram page. So I've never tried one of their coffees, don't really know what to expect, but I'm a big fan of wash processed Guatemalans, so we'll see how that one does. Day 20, the Los Pirineos, a honey processed El Salvador from Tim Wendelboe out of Oslo, Norway. And this one's probably going to be the biggest underdog, as I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the Los Pirineos that we had from La Cabra earlier in this Advent Calendar. But I do like Tim Wendelboe quite a bit, so we'll see how that one does. Day 21, the Montero Geisha, a natural processed Costa Rica from Morgon Coffee Roasters out of Gothenburg, Sweden. And every single coffee I've had from Morgon has been kind of Kenyan savory-like, so this one should definitely buck that trend. This is one of the higher-end coffees that we do have on the table, so it should be one of the favorites to perform pretty well. Day 22, the La Leona, a wash processed Guatemala from Nord out of Oslo, Norway. And this is going to be the wrench in this, as it's going to make it impossible to differentiate between the first wash processed Guatemalan that we do have on the table, as now we have 2 wash processed Guatemalans from 2 Oslo-based coffee roasters that I have extremely limited familiarity with. I've had 1 cup of Nord in my life, and I've never had a cup of Kaffa, so it's going to be impossible for me to differentiate between those two. We'll just see how we do with that. Day 23, the Buku Sayisa, a natural processed Ethiopia from Kaffa out of Oslo, Norway. So I love the fact that they included a wash processed coffee and a natural processed coffee from Kaffa. So this way I kind of get to see both processing methods from a coffee roaster and kind of get a little bit more familiarity with them. And then day 24, the Chombi CCX natural processed Panamanian Geisha from Coffea Circulor out of Arendal, Norway. And Coffea Circulor currently has one of our finalists in the Ruby Batian. So this one should be pretty interesting. Panamanian Geishas are my favorite coffee in the entire world. Typically washed, but naturals are pretty impressive as well. So we will definitely see how that one performs. Let's go ahead and move these out of the way so we can start tasting some coffees. And as always, none of these cups are labeled anywhere except for on the bottom. We just like to shuffle them around for good measure and kind of discuss what we have on our hands. So we have 2 wash processed Guatemalans, which we've been kind of discussing on, will make things impossible to determine. But then after that, we have the honey processed El Salvador, which could also be a wrinkle in this, as that one could trip us up with those Guatemalan coffees. I imagine that the Panamanian Geisha will be really easy to pick out, probably the easiest one to pick out, and then the natural processed Ethiopia as well as the natural processed Costa Rica could trip us up as well, as I expect those 2 to be somewhat similar, but we will go ahead and start with that cup right there. All right, cup number 1. That's funny. I picked out the Panamanian Geisha right off the start. That coffee is so unique, wild, out there, different. I already know that that's the Panamanian Geisha. I'm going to put it right there for right now. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Vibrant and the Vice and Virtue Edwin Nareñas from earlier this year, which were super hopsy cup of coffees. They reminded me of IPA beer, and this one right here reminds me of a super clean alcohol, slight bit of florals, slight bit of fruit, but that is a unique cup of coffee. A very interesting cup of coffee. All right, cup number 2. Okay. Off the back of that, I actually do quite like this coffee. It's got a nice bit of cookie sweetness to it. So I imagine that's going to be one of the wash processed or even that honey processed coffee, but definitely chocolate forward cup of coffee, nice bit of this slight cookie sweetness to it. So off to a really positive start with these first 2. Cup number 3. All right, this one I'm liking a little bit less. It's a little earthy, a little herbal for me as well. And that's why I'm kind of leaning potentially towards the Los Pirineos, as that one also had, the first one from La Cabra, had those same sort of characteristics to it. So I think that that one might be the honey processed El Salvador. It's definitely one of the washed or honey processed coffees. My least favorite of the coffee so far, so we'll place it right there for right now. Cup number 4. All This one's very interesting. This one also has a little bit of a chocolate base. You know what this one reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of some Kopi coffees I've had in the past. Higher end craft chocolate and some very slight kind of berries to it. I'm going to place that right here for right now. I have a feeling the honey processed and then the 2 washed Guatemalans, but I don't know. No way for me to guess on the washed processed Guatemalans. Cup number 5. That means these 2 should be the naturals. Definitely natural. I really like this natural though. This is a really, really good cup of coffee. It is one of the best naturals I've had, I think, the entire year. It's really clean for a natural. It's got some great berry sweetness to it. I really like the sweetness. I really like the cleanliness. There's nothing I don't like about that cup of coffee. I'm going to put it in second for right now because, as mentioned, that coffee is unique and that's a standout cup of coffee. But I'm really happy with the rankings, and this one, in theory, should be the final natural. And it definitely is. All right, where do I like this coffee? I think I'm going to put it right here for right now. I'm willing to kind of take some guesses on these early. I said that this one right here is the Panamanian Geisha, and I'm going to go ahead and put that up right now, which should be 24. And I fully expected it to be the most unique and easy to pick out cup of coffee, and it definitely was. I've kind of expressed the vibrancy that comes from this cup of coffee. It radiates it. It is one of the most unique cups of coffee I've had in the entire year. Very out there cup of coffee. And I'm going to be completely honest, it's not necessarily my favorite cup of coffee, but the reason I'm putting it in first place is because of just how unique and standout it is. This cup of coffee, though, I'm really, really impressed by, the second place finisher. All right, let's run through these one more time real quick and take some guesses. Yeah, this one, it's just so kind of earthy and herbal. I'm going to guess that that's probably the Los Pirineos. And my only reasoning behind that is it just reminds me of the other Los Pirineos we had earlier in this advent calendar. All right, let's give this one a shot. Yeah, this is definitely one of the wash processed Guatemalans, but I don't know how to differentiate between the 2 of them. So I guess the first one I pick up, which is either going to be 19 or 22. I picked up 22, so I'll put 22 there. I just think it's one of the wash processed Guatemalans, but don't have a good reason for guessing the Nord one. This one right here, I believe I said was one of the naturals. It is, and I'm going to guess that it's the Morgan. I'm going to guess that it's the Montero Geisha, and here's my reasoning for that. It reminds me a lot of the Las Lajas, a cleaner version of the Las Lajas, and it's a very strawberry-forward cup of coffee. That one's a lot more boozy, and mentioned this one's a lot cleaner. So I like this one a lot better than I've liked the Las Lajas, but given the similar traits that they share, I'm going to guess that that's a Costa Rican coffee. All right, and then we have 2 more cups. Let's see here. All right, this one right here I said was one of the other washed Guatemalans, so I'm going to just, whatever the other one is, 19, the Kaffa coffee, which leaves us with a natural, and I guess by process of elimination, that should be the other Kaffa coffee. Now, if that's the case, then Kaffa did exceptionally well for a coffee roaster I'd never had before. But yeah, these are my guesses. I mean, I'm not confident at all with the Guatemalans, but I'm moderately confident with the rest. Let's see how we did. This one right here I said was the honey processed El Salvador from Tim Wendelboe, so it should say 20. Yeah, it should say 20. Perfect, 20. And as mentioned, just reminds me a lot of the other Los Pirineos. Nothing necessarily wrong with it, but neither of them were necessarily my favorite. All right, this one right here I said was the 22, which is the La Leona wash processed Guatemala from Nord. So even if this one says 19, I don't mind getting this one wrong, but let's see what we have. 22. Okay, perfect. So coin flip, luck, guess worked out on that one. It just has washed Guatemalan characteristics, chocolate base to it, and some very slight, delicate fruits. Again, reminds me a lot of some Kopi coffees I've had in the past. So I think that one's pretty nice. This one right here, I guess, was the Montero Geisha, and I'm pretty confident on this one. This one should say 21. And it does. And as mentioned, reminds me a lot of the Las Lajas. Main reasoning behind it, I think it's fine. It's an improvement on that. Possibly underperformed given that it is a Geisha, but I really like these last 3 coffees. So this one right here, I'm really confident now that we got this one right here. I think it should say 19 for the other wash processed Guatemala. This one from Kaffa, and it is perfect. and I'm confident I got the rest right. This one's great. I think that this is a really lovely wash process coffee. It's got some wonderful cookie sweetness to it. Chocolate base. I mean, these three all had chocolate bases, but you're picking up different things from it. Cookie sweetness, berry, and then this one right here, as mentioned, just kind of herbal. All right, and then this one right here should be the other Kaffa coffee, which is number 23. Yes. All right, and I'm really impressed by this coffee. I wonder if I want to put it in the final blind taste test rankings video, because I think that this is wonderful. It's got a great berry sweetness to it, but it even has some nice stone fruits as well. Very clean, especially for a natural. Really impressed by that natural. And as a result, right here we have the Panamanian Geisha from Coffea Circulor. And I'm extremely curious to see how this coffee is going to perform against the other coffees, because I feel like I was enjoying the other coffees more. I feel like I might have even enjoyed this coffee more, but just from a pure intrigue standpoint, I had to put that one in first place because this coffee just captivates my interest. And whenever a coffee captivates my interest in the way that this one had, I am just kind of in awe of it. So that one definitely justifies the first place for right now. We'll see how it does against the other coffees, as I really like the other coffees that are going to be featured in that final video. But I'm really happy with how we performed on this one right here. A little bit of luck, but I'll take it. Yeah, if you have by chance tried these 6 cups of coffee, would love to know which one was your favorite. Yeah, kind of at a loss for words, because this one was a pretty tricky, interesting, very interesting blind taste test so far. I would say it was the most interesting of the 3 of the 4 that we've done to this point. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like. As mentioned, these are by far the most difficult to do, but they are by far the most fun. I really enjoy doing these videos. If you're new to the channel, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, but I think we'll leave this one at that. This right here has been part 4 of our 5-part blind taste test rankings video series featuring KaffeBox's 2021 Advent Calendar. Thank you for watching.